Hello everyone, my name is Emily Farrell and I'm the president of the Woodstown High School chapter of the National Honor Society. Thank you very much for viewing our Stoling and Induction ceremony this evening. Please let me introduce our advisors, Mr. Joseph O'Brien and Mr. Kieran Kaiser.
Along with my co-advisor, Mr. Kaiser, I would like to thank you for viewing our annual installation ceremony for the National Honor Society. Things are a little different this year with a virtual ceremony, but we still wanted to take time to induct our new members, as well as recognize our seniors and the teachers they've selected to stole them. Thank you for taking time to honor our students. It is a privilege to witness their dedication and commitment throughout the year.
These students are being inducted into the National Honor Society because they hold themselves to the highest of standards and lead in a way that demonstrates integrity, character, and hard work. For these students, it is ingrained within them to constantly search for ways to make a meaningful impact or help those in need. Whether it is volunteering at our blood drive, purchasing a gift for a child, or tutoring a fellow student, our National Honor Society members are always ready with generosity in their actions and deeds. It is an honor to congratulate them on this special accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Being a member in the society has been recognized as one of the highest honors that can be bestowed upon a high school student at the national level. The emblem of the society is the keystone and the flaming torch. The letters at the bottom of the keystone represent the four main principles of this organization: character, scholarship, leadership, and service. Just like the keystone, which is placed by the builder to hold the other stones of the arch together, the structure of our education must be held true to the purpose of life in order for us to thrive and grow as young adults. My fellow officers will be assisting with the ceremony this evening.
Hello, my name is Madeline Hunt and I serve as the Vice President for the National Honor Society. We will begin the ceremony by introducing the senior inductees.
Bailey Connelly, Rachel Dennison, Riley Long, Haley Hitchner, Anthony Sandone, Natalie Scardino.
The most meaningful portion of the ceremony is the stoling of the senior members by the teachers who have touched their lives. This practice bestows upon the senior a distinguishing symbol of the National Honor Society that they will proudly display on graduation day. This also gives the senior members a moment to recognize and thank the teacher who has had an immeasurable effect on their lives.
Anthony has asked Mrs. Davis to stole him tonight because she has been the teacher with the largest impact on his academic career at Woodstown. During the 2 years that he has been in her classes, he has become a more responsible student due to her influence. Her lessons are always taught with passion. One can tell she enjoys teaching every day. Anthony appreciates the fact that she comes up with her own problems and that she takes time to solve them with us. She cares about the future of her students, which makes their talks about college very valuable to Anthony. Anthony will miss their talks about fantasy football and, of course, calculus the most. Anthony would like to thank Mrs. Davis for being a great teacher and mentor.
I have chosen Miss Arbello as my stole this year, and I simply cannot imagine it being anyone else. Miss Arbello and I's wavelength started in 9th period anatomy my junior year. Miss Arbello and I share some great memories and inside jokes outside of school, but it's what she taught me in the classroom that I will take with me onto this next chapter of my life. In class, I did not only learn how to skin a dogfish, but I learned that Miss Arbello is the most perfect example of what a role model should be, and someone I will always strive to make proud. I am lucky enough to say that I have been taught by one of the smartest, funniest, and kindest people I've ever met. Miss Arbello has pushed me harder academically than any teacher has before and made me better because of it. I hope to have at least half of the knowledge Miss Arbello has one day. Before I graduate, I hope to do a perfect impression of Miss Arbello, and I thank her for letting me use her microwave and for trying to win me a guitar signed by Shawn Mendes. Miss Arbello will never truly know how much she taught me in the classroom and about myself. Thank you for all you've done for me.
Johnny chose Mr. Mace because he has been one of his favorite teachers since the beginning of high school. He has helped influence Johnny in the field of aviation, inspired him to pursue the Air Force, and become a commercial pilot after college. He is a great mentor for military guidance for the Air Force as well. Johnny's favorite memories from class include the times we would get off topic and have in-depth discussions on NASA. Johnny would like to thank Mr. Mace and all of his teachers and the staff at Woodstown that helped him become the student he is today.
I have chosen Mrs. Micheletti to stole me for National Honor Society this year because I've had her for Family and Consumer Sciences my sophomore year and for Child Care and Development my senior year. She has always been one of my favorite teachers, and I look forward to coming to her class every day. She has helped me get through high school with a positive attitude and is always willing to give me advice when I need it. Mrs. Micheletti reinforces positivity among her students every day and radiates happiness and excitement while in the classroom. She is an amazing teacher, and I am glad to have had her during my high school career.
I have chosen Mrs. McMurray to stole me. I had the pleasure of being in Mrs. McMurray's Honors English 3 class and received the People's Choice Award from her last year. I appreciate Mrs. McMurray for pushing me to be a better writer, student, and person. I will always be thankful for all the late passes she wrote me when Colin and I would hang around to talk to her after third period. Mrs. McMurray's kind, caring, and passionate attitude and ability to understand me completely is why I go to spend the entirety of the score period every A day with her. She has turned into more than just a teacher figure for me. She is one of my friends. I can count on her for anything, whether it's cheering me on at high school swim meets, proofreading my thesis statement for AP English, or just listening to me rant about anything and everything. I will cherish all the memories I have made with Mrs. McMurray and will be one of the people who will make leaving WHS next year so hard.
I have chosen Mr. Kaiser to stole me this evening. Although Mr. Kaiser has only been at Woodstown for almost 2 years now, he resembles a teacher who loves what he does and embraces every student he crosses paths with. Mr. Kaiser doesn't just care for his students, he makes sure they understand what they are learning and puts hard work into every lesson. I am very grateful to be Kaiser's job shadow this year in his 6th period world history class and have learned that a lot more goes into teaching than students think. From making copies for 10 minutes in the copy room for just one test, to learning what a 504 plan is, teaching is not just from 7:35 to 2:35 Monday through Friday for Mr. Kaiser. It's more like 6:30 to whenever the papers are graded. The PowerPoint is made whenever the job is done. Mr. Kaiser has been very impactful in my life, and I will miss our 6th period chats next year.
I have asked Mr. Kelly, my sophomore year English teacher, to stole me this year. Ever since the first day I walked into class, Mr. Kelly would, with immense pleasure, tease me about how poor a student I am, and never misses a chance to give a snide remark about me. Yet he also assured me that it was always in good fun and with quippy intentions. In light of those days, I have remembered my English teacher as someone that would always make this day seem enjoyable whenever it was drab, and most of all, he knew how to make a boring subject appealing, even when we had to read To Kill a Mockingbird for the 3rd time. So to Mr. Kelly, I would like to say thank you for all the laughs and the fond memories we've shared over the years. Thank you.
I have picked Mr. Kelly to stole me because of the great impact he had on my high school career. Mr. Kelly was my 10th grade English teacher and brought more than learning to my life. He brought enthusiasm to the classroom like I had never seen before and made every day enjoyable. I will never forget his talks about baseball and challenging Mr. Kelly off for the most handsome man in the school, but of course I lost. Mr. Kelly is a man I will always look up to, and I know I can always look to him for advice. He is always full of encouragement and never fails to put a smile on your face. Thank you, Mr. Kelly, for all that you have done for me.
Over the past 2 years, Mr. Kaiser has been a massive influence to not just me, but the entire school. Mr. Kaiser taught me for half a year as an LTS for Mrs. Knight last year in the infamous 9th period history class. After that, Mr. Kaiser took on the role of the swim coach and put the team on a new path, making it in the top 3 in the playoffs in both seasons. The whole mentality of the team changed with Mr. Kaiser as the coach. He has been an inspiration to the whole team, and I am grateful to have him virtually stole me tonight.
I've chosen Mrs. Bitgood to stole me. Anyone who's lucky enough to already know Mrs. Bitgood is aware of how incredibly passionate and strong of a woman she is. Her originality is pure, unbeatable, and completely relentless, having taught me an impressive example that not everyone needs to understand or like you, because in the end, it's their loss. She's a prime example of what self-content is, loving her imperfections as much as her best qualities. And most importantly, Mrs. Biggood would never have let any student give up on themselves, personally and academically, and I wouldn't be where I am right now without her. When I grow up, I don't want to be a firefighter or a veterinarian. I want to be just a fraction of a person that Mrs. Biggood has shown me to be.
I chose Miss Biggood to stole me because of her never-ending positivity and love she has given me over the past 3 years. She is one of the most positive and encouraging people I know, both in and out of the classroom to everyone. She has been there for me not only for academics and a teacher, but as a friend and someone I can trust and confide in. Through school, she has been my biggest cheerleader, even when I wanted to give up on myself. Thank you so much for all of your kind words, hugs, encouragements, pre-calc late passes, WHS, and support for the past 3 years. She is a true inspiration to me, and I hope to make a change in someone's life as much as she has mine.
I have chosen Mrs. Davis to stole me. Ever since deciding to take honors pre-calc my junior year, I have seen Mrs. Davis as a role model in my life. I appreciate all of the little things that she does, from giving snacks to get through double period of AP Calc, to showing pictures of her granddaughter, to saying good morning when I walk by her classroom, and even getting on me about memorizing my trig identities. Whether Mrs. Davis knows it or not, she's always pushed me to do better and to exceed my own expectations. I want to thank Mrs. Davis for not only teaching me valuable skills in the classroom, but also for teaching me how to believe in myself when everything else seems impossible. I'll forever remember Mrs. Davis as more than just a teacher, but as someone who has set an example for me to always strive for greatness, and I will carry that on through the next chapter of my life.
I have known Mrs. Heil my whole life, but have become much closer to her over the past 4 years. On my first day of freshman year, I walked in late with a backpack 3 times my size and no clue where to go. I walked up the lobby stairs and was immediately greeted with a hug from Mrs. Heil, who then led me to Pod's first period. Since freshman year, I've always known that whatever the problem I'm facing, no matter the topic or time, Mrs. Heil will always welcome me with a hug and guidance on the spot. Her office has always been a comforting, safe place to talk or just sit when I need a break. Whether it's advice on classes, friends, or college, Mrs. Heil has never hesitated to set aside time to talk to me. She has and will continue to be a source of comfort and support in my life. I admire all the work she has done within the school and her ability to connect with any person. I know that I will carry everything she has taught me well beyond Woodstown. I'm so grateful for everything Mrs. Heil has done for me over the past 4 years, and I hope to make her proud in the future.
Despite only having him as a teacher my freshman year, I chose Mr. Podolsky to stole me because when I was placed in his academic history class, he always told me how he liked that I always came to class with a positive attitude. About halfway through the year, he asked me why I didn't take honors history because I easily would have been capable of doing it. At first, I just laughed and ignored the question, but as the year went on, Pods repeatedly told me to take honors history my sophomore year. He ended up emailing my guidance counselor and basically made me take honors history, but if it wasn't for him constantly pushing me, I probably would have never thought twice about taking all honors classes and challenging myself to all the work that was ahead. Pods became one of my favorite teachers, and he was always someone that I could count on and talk to about anything. He was someone I looked up to, and I'm thankful every day for the advice and positive mindset that he helped give me.
Hi, my name is Catherine DiPatri, and I chose Miss Knight to stole me. Miss Knight has always been a teacher that I knew I could count on. She's always been more than a teacher to me. She is someone who I feel constantly supports me and always has an open door to talk just about anything, including my experiences the day before at work, another twin story, or our Tuesday morning bachelor recaps and theories. She is someone who makes my first period not so rough with her constant jokes and her positive attitude. She's also someone who shares a love for the special needs community with me. Miss Knight is someone I truly aspire to be as I grow up, kind, outgoing, and selfless. Lastly, I would just like to thank Miss Knight for the past 2 years and leaving such an impact on my life.
Hi, my name is Emma DiPatri, and I chose Miss Bickgood to stole me. I chose Miss Bickgood for many reasons, not only for her impeccable ping pong skills and gel pen crafts, but for her amazing spirit and heart. She's taught me to find the good in everything and to always have pride in myself. She shows me constant support, whether it's in the classroom or on the court or field at my games. She has helped me become the person and student I am today. Her warm smile and hugs never fail to make me laugh and feel special. Her contagious laugh and musica pick me up every day, no matter how stressful they are. I would like to thank Miss Bickgood for having such a positive impact on me and inspiring me to minor in Spanish for the next 4 years. You're amazing. I love you. Wepa.
I chose Mr. Kranz to stole me for NHS. Mr. Kranz has been one of my favorite teachers since I first had him freshman year for communications. I feel beyond blessed to know someone so kind, supportive, and genuine. Mr. Kranz has guided and encouraged me throughout my years in the Communications Academy, plays and musicals, and every year of Poetry Out Loud. I admire Mr. Kranz for his resilience and ability to hold a conversation with anyone. He is also the only person I know who can make a whole classroom excited about Shakespeare. Mr. Kranz has taught me to pursue creative freedom and be attentive to details when I watch movies or read Dickens. He has emphasized the importance of learning, supporting my education in a way that makes him not only an inspiring teacher, but an incredible friend. Mr. Kranz has made a remarkable impact on my life.
I've chosen Mrs. Davis to stole me. To my pleasure, I've had Mrs. Davis last year for pre-calc and this year for AP Calc. For the past 2 years, Mrs. Davis has taught me many valuable lessons in the math world. From the concepts of trigonometry to finding the volume of discs and washers, one could say that it has been an interesting ride for me. Even though I still don't understand the log rules or how arc cosine works after reviewing it this year multiple times, Mrs. Davis still appreciates the effort that I put into her class. I would also like to thank Mrs. Davis for teaching me valuable life lessons and for always being there for me when I'm going through hard times. From seeing her every day after dance in middle school to having her as a teacher in high school, I will miss her deeply next year, and I am thankful for all the love that Mrs. Davis has shown to me throughout my high school career.
I've had the pleasure of Mr. Kelly as both the English teacher and baseball coach during my time at Woodstown. I had Mr. Kelly third period after a period of struggling to capture sophomore year, and he helped me see things in a broader perspective. As he reminded class frequently, that day was just the smallest fraction of our lives, and although things we were stressing over would mean nothing at the end of the day. This stuck with me and even helps me today when I'm stressed out. Mr. Kelly is also as great as a baseball coach as he was a teacher. I distinctly remember my first varsity at bat. It was a scrimmage earlier in the season, and Coach Ware decided to give me a chance to prove myself. However, I did not make most of the opportunity I popped out. But this didn't bother me for too long, as Mr. Kelly is the first base coach and says I'm short and sweet to raise my spirit. Mr. Kelly is one of the kindest people around, and I'm thankful he's made an impact on my life.
I have chosen Mr. Kranz to present my stole. Throughout these past 4 years at Woodstown High School, I've endured countless difficult papers, projects, and classes that were not always the most exciting. Even so, every day I had the chance to come to communications class, where I could take a break from the struggle of my daily high school routine and explore my creative abilities. The teacher who made this possible was none other than Mr. Kranz. From day one, when I was interviewed to become a part of the Communications Academy, Mr. Kranz saw the potential in me. Under Mr. Kranz's guidance, I learned how to edit, film, and run the morning show at AM Woodstown. He always praised any video project that I created. Whether it was a movie for the film festival or a silly segment for AM Woodstown, he never doubted my abilities as a student. For that, I am eternally grateful to have had a teacher like Mr. Kranz during these past 4 years.
Sarah has chosen Mrs. Williams to stole her tonight. Sarah has been part of Mrs. Williams' classes since her freshman year. She would like to thank her the most for all the memories she made in her classes. Stealing snacks out of the closets, hogging the nets to catch fish behind the stream, getting stuck in the mud at Fortescue, tagging horseshoe crabs, taking naps during lunch after crazy weekends, playing with food labs, and most importantly, meeting one of her closest friends, Ethan. When Sarah thinks back on her high school days, her fondest memories will be being in Mrs. Williams' class or going on her crazy class trips. Sarah will always be thankful her bad days were fixed by Mrs. Williams with her friendly smile and crazy energetic ways of teaching.
I have chosen Mr. New to stole me. I've had the pleasure of having him as my cross-country coach my junior and senior year. Even though running isn't anyone's favorite thing to do, Coach New always made me enjoy practice, whether the team was running 3 miles or 10 miles that day. Coach New always brought the same funny, energetic, and real attitude to practice and never had an off day. Often after practice was done, I would stay to talk about anything such as life, how to be a man, and advice from the ladies. Coach New has gone beyond cross-country and taught me things about life that I would take with me forever. He has also pushed me to achieve goals I would never imagine and to be the best I possibly could be. He is not just a coach, but a friend, and I wish I could just get one more year with him. I would cherish all the memories with Mr. New and hope that I can become just half the man he is today.
I have chosen Mrs. Sorbello to stole me because of her influence on me during my junior and senior years of high school. I first had Mrs. Sorbello as a teacher my junior year when I took honors anatomy and physiology. In this class, I was able to recognize my interest in the way the human body works. Mrs. Sorbello's teaching style and enthusiasm in class helped me to learn and retain more information in this class than any other I have taken. I decided to job shadow Mrs. Sorbello's A&P class my senior year along with tackling AP biology. Mrs. Sorbello's classes have been some of the most challenging and demanding, yet they have been my favorite. I love that Mrs. Sorbello does not just teach material, she is genuinely interested in the topic she teaches. She keeps up with recent discoveries and advances, and she wants us to understand how exciting they are too.
I chose Miss Chu to stole me because she has always been a role model to me and an inspiration. She taught me in 3rd and 4th grade and has since been a part of my life in the years following. She has helped shape me into the person and student I am today. Without her, I would not have the work ethic and motivation that gets me through school. No matter how much time passes, every time we come across each other, it's like we just saw one another yesterday. I value my connection with Miss Chu and will never forget her impact on my life.
This year, I was super bummed out when I found I could not take French 3 because of scheduling conflicts. I looked forward to going to Whitmore's class every day because no matter what my mood was or how my day was going, Whitmore would always somehow manage to brighten my day. Whenever I was super stressed, extra quiet, or just down, Whit would always pull me outside of class or catch me on the way out the door and just make sure I was okay, or to tell me not to worry because everything would be okay. Even this year at football games, Whitmore would always talk to me while I was on the sideline no matter what. She even taught me everything about soccer at the girls' night game this year. Even though Whitmore was unsuccessful in convincing me to play lacrosse and has never actually called me by my first name but only by Hatchell, I want to thank Whitmore for always showing me she cares about me and for being someone I know I can always go to. I could not have made it through these past 4 years without you. Thank you, Miss Whitmore.
Tyler has chosen Mrs. Catalano to present his stole. Tyler had Mrs. Catalano for honors geometry during his sophomore year. Coming into an unfamiliar classroom halfway through the school year was not an easy task for a student or a teacher. However, thanks to Mrs. Catalano's kind-heartedness, she made Tyler feel welcome in her classroom from the first day. After returning to class from various archery tournaments, she would always find time to ask how everything went, especially to talk about what experiences he had during his travels. This would benefit Tyler a great deal during his transition to Woodstown High School. Tyler enjoyed Mrs. Catalano's class so much that he chose to continue with higher education with honors pre-calc and AP stats the following year. He will forever be thankful for having Mrs. Catalano as such a wonderful teacher.
I chose Mrs. Coleman to present my stole because she has been such a helpful and caring person throughout high school. She has always helped me with open arms for anything. Thank you, Mrs. Coleman, for being someone I can count on.
Dear Coach Huck, as a young boy learning to play soccer on the grassy fields at Morrilton Park, I was constantly told that I will have so much fun when I get to high school and have the opportunity to play for some guy named Huck. In August 2016, I finally got that chance. Huck, over the past 4 years, you have not only helped me become a better soccer player, but a better human being. After this season came to an end, I realized that not only did you help me perfect my soccer skills, but you taught me many valuable life lessons like working hard, giving back, and good sportsmanship. Your love and commitment to the team was never more apparent than this past fall. The boys' soccer team is truly a family unit, and I thank you for helping me develop very close bonds with a lot of great men who I will forever call my friends. May you continue to inspire others and know that you will always be more than just a coach to me.
I chose Mrs. Bickgood as my stoler. To me, she is the light of my school day. She never fails to brighten my day and seek out what's going on in each of her students' lives that's positive. She's taught me more these past 3 years than I could have ever wished for, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Mrs. Bickgood takes so much pride into her students, her teaching, and even her classroom. She never lets a bad day get her down or affect the rest of the class, and that's inspired me to always look for the good in the day. Mrs. Bickgood is someone I am so glad to have had the chance to meet and build a relationship with.
I have chosen Mrs. Sorbello to stole me. Up until taking anatomy last year with Mrs. Sorbello, I was only somewhat interested in pursuing a career in the medical field. But after having a year full of bone practicals, several animal dissections, and countless labs, I knew that I wanted to learn and study more about the human body in the future. I had never experienced a teacher so passionate and excited about science like Mrs. Sorbello. Not only was her teaching in the classroom very influential, But as she was also one of my best friend's mom, I could always count on her for a good laugh and a random conversation about how blood clots can become embolisms at any point in the day. I am very excited about my future in nursing school and give thanks to Mrs. Orbello for all the love, support, and knowledge that she has shown me during my time at Woodstown.
4 years ago, I would have never have guessed Coach Forty, my biology teacher and assistant coach, would end up being one of my top role models in life. She has always been there for me academically and through my personal life. I know I can always count on her, whether that be a friend to talk to, somebody to help guide me through a tough time, or a shoulder to cry on. And trust me, that was often. Although I call her coach, I will always consider her to be my second mom, especially when I borrowed $20 every week for Papa Luigi's back in freshman year. Nonetheless, I will always consider her family and nothing short of it. From all of our inside jokes, our lovely cheer years, she will always be a part of my heart, my family, and one of my best friends. The great impact she has made will always remain a part of the reason I am the young woman I am today.
Teacher, mentor, father. All of these descriptions and more describe Dexter's father, Richard Kaufmann. As a teacher, he taught Dexter about ancient civilizations, how to structure a sentence, and how to read poetry. As a father, he taught Dexter how to shave, how to drive, and how to throw a baseball. When he was diagnosed with cancer, he taught Dexter how to appreciate life and how to never stop fighting. One paragraph cannot do justice to everything Dexter has learned from his father, and everything Dexter will continue to learn for the rest of his life.
I, Shaye Kelly, have chosen Mrs. Donahue to stole me. Mrs. Donahue was my 5th grade teacher, teaching every subject like math, history, and science, but my favorite subject was language arts. I feel that Mrs. Donahue pushed me to be a better writer in both creating narratives and analyzing novels. I was able to grow as a reader and writer in 5th grade due to Mrs. Donahue's ability to make the subject worthy of great interest. Along with teaching the fundamentals of writing a good analysis or short essay, her class offered several areas for me to be original, creative, and have my own voice in the classroom. I was taught that reading and writing could be fun, encouraging me to do it more often and eventually appreciate it. I realized writing gave me a chance in school to have control and independence. Without Mrs. Donahue, I would not have realized how much I can enjoy reading, writing, and using them to express myself. I thank Mrs. Donahue deeply, and I credit her for having one of the largest impacts in my academic career.
Madame/Coach Whitmore has been someone that I have gone to for a number of problems, most of which have not been French class or lacrosse related. That's what makes Whit special. You could always go to her for anything and always get the best and most honest advice out of it. Whether it's debating my Duncan in homeroom, testing the limit to what I'm cleared to do on the field, or talking about our Catholic girl problems, there's nothing that we can't laugh about. I am so thankful for Whit being there for me through all of the ups and downs, through every injury and weak moment. I don't know what I'm going to do next year without Whit guiding me along the way, so she should be ready for many FaceTime calls and texts while I'm taking my college French classes. Love you, Whit, and thank you for everything.
Michael first met Mr. Adams back during his freshman year when he coached the baseball team. Mr. Adams taught Michael what hard work really looked like and how accomplishing simple tasks could help get you closer to a larger goal. This started Michael on his journey to becoming disciplined. It was not until his sophomore year in the weight room that he truly understood the meaning of the word. Mr. Adams put the team through hard workouts 4 days a week to help them become stronger, but to improve themselves as well. Michael's best memories come from the weight room, when Mr. Adams would rally the team behind hard lifts and help push each other. This is what Michael found to be the most memorable. He saw that the team was an extended family, and Mr. Adams really pulled everyone together. And Michael is glad because it helped him with a lot of new friends, and hopefully he will have them for the rest of his life.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I chose Mrs. Serwan to stole me. Mrs. Serwan is not just a teacher in my eyes. She's a little bit of everything, a best friend, therapist, and mom all in one. I was lucky to have Mrs. Serwan as one of my teachers in 5th and 6th grade. She made the transition into the big school the best thing ever. Even though she isn't my teacher anymore, her lessons and positivity live throughout me each day. She made every awful and awkward middle school day worth it. She was the best homeroom teacher and made sure each student would start the day off with a big smile on their face. Her hard work and selflessness inspires me to be half the person she is. Mrs. Serwan is the teacher who gives you the security to tell them anything and can always share a good laugh with. I will never forget when we set up and decorated her new classroom, even though having no air condition was a struggle. Not only that, I miss the many times I would stay after school to talk with Mrs. Serwan and Mrs. Donahue. Thanks for all the chocolate to cure every problem and the best hugs.
I chose Mr. Rickard to stole me. Mr. Rickard was my teacher sophomore year in honors chemistry and senior year in AP chemistry. Mr. Rickard has become a close friend and trusted advisor throughout these last 3 years, and I've gone to him for advice on many topics, including college, school, and sports. He has listened to my many rants about numerous things and has always provided sound advice and ones of quality. Mr. Rickard has been a very positive influence through me on my time at Woodstown High School, and I hope that I can find more teachers like him in the future.
Trevor chose Mr. Lamont to stole him this evening. He has been Trevor's tennis coach since his sophomore year. Mr. Lamont has spent countless hours outside of scheduled practices hitting the ball with Trevor over the years. He does this because he cares about his players and wants them to succeed. Trevor likes how they both share a winner's mentality as well. Trevor would like to thank Mr. Lamont for his dedication to the team over these last few years.
I chose Mrs. Knight to stole me because she is caring, sincere, and dedicated. She is always there when I have questions about anything, not even just things in her class. I feel that she sees me, and I don't feel like I have to be the loudest in the class in order to be heard. With everything that we learn, she always does something to make it more fun, which helps me remember what we are learning more. I enjoy Mrs. Knight's class, and I look forward to seeing her every day.
Jasmine Lopez has had the pleasure to have Mr. Huck her junior and senior year as her gym teacher. He has shown her the true meaning of strength when the tough times come. She would even ask his advice knowing that she could count on him for anything. One of her unforgettable memories of him was when she was in gym class. He had noticed that she was upset, and so he asked her to join him in a game of cornhole. Even though she wasn't good at it, he had managed to make her forget her problems and just make her smile. She admires him a lot, not only for that, but how he managed to stay strong during his own difficult times. She learned that even when something comes across your path unexpectedly, you just have to find the best way to deal with it. Mr. Huck's determination and advice was Jasmine's motivation to keep working hard.
I have chosen Teach, aka Mr. Adams, to stole me. Even though I say he's grumpy, the truth is he is the most sincere and selfless teacher I have ever had. From begging to teach him the renegade, to locking him out of his classroom to mess up his desk, every day brings something new. I want to thank him for everything he does, and no small paragraph for National Honor Society can thank him enough. I had Mr. Adams for geometry my sophomore year, and now I have him twice a day for my job shadowing course and AP statistics. At first, I was not a fan. He knew I'd doubled up on math courses that year, so he'd call me up to his desk to go ahead in the lessons. He constantly pushes me to be the best I can be, from the weight room to the classroom. I know I can count on him for anything. Most importantly, he has taught me how to believe in myself, and over these past 4 years, that has been the greatest lesson of all.
I have chosen Mr. O'Brien to stole me tonight. Mr. O'Brien has been my cross-country and track coach for the past 4 years and has made a lasting impact on me. His hard work and dedication has helped me to earn varsity status each season. I will never forget my freshman year when the girls' cross-country team, under Mr. O'Brien's coaching, placed at the sectional meet and went on to the state meet. I will miss Mr. O'Brien next year when I am running for a new coach at the collegiate level, but I will always remember the role he played in helping me get here.
Mrs. Bitgood has a great class, a funky room, and a big heart. Not only does she teach Spanish, but she discusses important topics and makes sure to talk about the positive things happening in everyone's lives. She shows genuine love and respect to her students and really shows she cares. She helped me inspire to continue learning Spanish in college and become fluent in the language. She has given me great advice and forced me out of my comfort zone in her class, helping me grow as a person. Mrs. Bitgood is a truly memorable person that I won't forget. Wepa!
Jasmine chose Mrs. Mealy because she gained a friendship with her during her junior year that she will never forget. Jasmine would always sit in Mrs. Mealy's office with her and have random conversations about life that were very helpful. Jasmine is inspired by Mrs. Mealy because she is determined to help you see the best in yourself. Jasmine does believe Mrs. Mealy has helped her come out of her shell and become a little more outspoken. And last but not least, Jasmine wanted to thank Mrs. Mealy for the fashion advice and helping her through her fashion disaster on her birthday.
I chose Miss Whitmore to stole me.
I've had her for every year of high school for French, and during those years she has always been there to support me, whether it's academics, lacrosse, or life. Miss Whitmore continued to make class fun even after 4 years, and I even learned some French. The jokes back and forth started each day off well no matter what was going on. Thank you, Miss Whitmore. I will truly miss French next year.
My mom was my first teacher, and she has continued to be my teacher my whole life. Despite not being in her classroom, my mom is still my greatest teacher and the one who's had the biggest impact on my life, no matter how often she mercilessly teases me in the hallways.
Miss Heil has been someone that Jack has gone to for his problems throughout his past 4 years. High school has had a roller coaster of events, and whenever Jack needed support, Miss Heil was always there for him. Whether it's talking about college, sending makeup work after both of his surgeries, or just having someone to talk to, Jack will miss all these moments. Through the thick and thin, Miss Heil will always be there for Jack, and he will always be thankful for everything she has done. Jack doesn't know what he's going to do without Miss Heil, and will definitely be stopping in next year when he's home. Lastly, most of all, Jack will always remember his trip to LMTI camp that was in the middle of nowhere, and he didn't want to go at first. But in the end, it was a great experience that opened his eyes to so many different aspects of life. He will never forget the memories he made. Love you, Miss Heil, and thanks again for everything.
I have chosen Miss Miller to stole me this evening. I've had Miller as my agriculture teacher and FFA advisor for the past 4 years, and I would like to say, Miller, thank you for instilling a passion in me I didn't even know I had. I came into your class as a lost and closed-minded freshman, but you saw something in me and persisted to grow me as a person. You do everything in your power to open me up to new opportunities, challenge me to personally grow, mentor me whenever possible, and push me to shoot for the stars. You unlocked a whole new world for me, and I couldn't imagine my life if I hadn't taken AF&R freshman year. 4 years later, and I'm a whole new person because of the organization you knew I would find happiness and growth in. Miller, thank you for changing my life and pushing me to be a better person every day.
When I first met Mr. Kaiser, he was just a substitute for my junior history class. I didn't think much of him, but then I started hearing whispers of what I thought to be a rumor, that this fresh out of college long-term sub would be sticking around longer than any of us thought. And with that came a second wave of voices spreading news amongst each other. He was going to be the swim coach? Once I confirmed these tales, I thought, great, I can get him to sign off my NHS papers saying that I participated in swim. But Kaiser would soon mean more to me than a signature. Having been through 2 coaches in 2 years, I expected another one-and-done kind of deal. But the energy and excitement Kaiser brought to our team changed everything. From bus rides, practices, and meets, swim didn't feel so much like a chore anymore, and the team felt like a family. Although swim wasn't a first priority for me, I will always admire how Mr. Kaiser walked in blind and managed to make us all see what we could accomplish and who we could be. What I admire most, however, is that behind the teacher and the coach, Kaiser is simply a good and kind man. I know that I can go to him whenever with whatever may be on my mind, and I've seen him become a mentor to many of my friends, which means more to me than he may know. I can undoubtedly say that Kaiser is one of the most genuine and selfless people I have ever met, and I will never forget all the good he has done for us here at Woodstown.
I have chosen Mr. Kranz to stole me. Throughout my high school career, Mr. Kranz has always been a teacher I have looked up to, and I only wish I can become half the person he is. I was able to spend a lot of time with Mr. Kranz, having him for 3 years in class for communications and English for 2, and also being in the fall play for 3 years. I student directed the fall play Our Town this year with Mr. Kranz as an advisor, and he taught me many life lessons along the way. No matter how frustrating and stressful any of my experiences got, Mr. Kranz was always there to help me get through it. For the past 4 years, I have counted on Mr. Kranz for much advice and support. Seeing his smile every morning always made my day, and the communications room feels like home, and I will definitely miss him next year and the years to come.
Benjamin is choosing Mrs. Heil to stole him. Mrs. Heil has been Ben's mentor, guidance counselor, and LMTI camp counselor. Mrs. Heil has helped him significantly, not only for things like college and scheduling the right classes, but for never losing faith in him, even when he came in with a ton of missed deadlines and was having a nervous breakdown in her office. Mrs. Heil has been like a second mom to Ben and has helped him through some of the most difficult times in high school. Ben does not know what he'll do without her next year and cherishes the impact she had on his life. Ethan has selected Mrs. Williams to stole him because not only is she an amazing teacher, but has been there for him throughout his entire high school career. She has seen him through all of his phases and helped him to find the person he is today. He has taken all of her classes, and every year he's learned more and more from her, about ecology, of course, but also about life. She has been one of his role models since freshman year. She's shown him how to be honest and how to see from other perspectives. He'll try his best to remember all of the lessons she has taught him as he moves on to college.
I have chosen Miss Whitmore to present my stole. I have spent 3 very entertaining years in Miss Whitmore's French class during my time in high school. I, unfortunately, was unable to take French 4 in my senior year of high school due to schedule restrictions. With all of the stress and never-ending work that high school threw at me, I was always able to relax in my French class. From hilarious debates between myself and Miss Whitmore about the latest news and sports, to amusing class fashion shows and everywhere in between, Miss Whitmore's French class always served as a relaxing distraction from the fast-paced, stressful high school work that surrounds all students. Miss Whitmore always makes her students feel welcome and comfortable in her classroom with her friendly and outgoing personality. This wonderful quality led me to enjoy every day in Miss Whitmore's classroom, and I'll never forget the memories I made in French class for the rest of my life.
I picked Miss Raggio to stole me. Miss Raggio has been an incredible mentor, role model, and kind friend to me. She had patience in helping me with my work and art skills, but also gave me good advice along the way. I took all of the art classes I could to be with my favorite teacher and best friend, Miss Raggio. She has always been there for me and inspired me to become the person I am today. I would like to thank Miss Raggio for all of her support through high school and all of the help she gave me when I needed it.
I chose Miss Serwan to stole me because she has been one of the most influential people in my life. I had Miss Serwan first as a social studies teacher in 5th grade and again as an English teacher in 6th grade. Even though I haven't had Miss Serwan as a teacher for many years, I always make time to stop by her classroom and talk to her about college, family, and everything in between. I thank Miss Serwan for always being there for me and encouraging me to reach my full potential in everything I do. I can't wait to visit her in the future and talk about all of the things that she has inspired me to work towards. I will never forget the talks that we've had and the memories that we've made together.
I chose Miss Williams when the time came to choose a stoler. Stoler, is that even a word? Anyway, I chose her for a multitude of reasons, but for 2 in particular. I like her layered jokes and unconventional teaching, sure, but I admire her most for her personality, for her chutzpah. She understands what it's like to have people think you're crazy. Everybody needs someone like that. Someone who understands how this building can feel from the outside. Not in a literal sense, it's rather nice out today, but in a figurative sense. In a socially awkward sense, Miss Williams really gets it. She understands. And that understanding is what made me respect her so much in the first place. Her broad skill set and extensive acumen simply add to that admiration. It also really helped that I seemed to be the only one who understood her jokes there for a couple years.
Allison chose Mrs. Wolf because during one of the hardest times of her life, during her freshman year, her room became a place that she could go whenever she needed someone to talk to. Mrs. Wolf always went the extra mile with her students, and she always looked forward to her class. She took another one of her classes sophomore year that led her to pick her major in accounting. Mrs. Wolf has had a huge impact on her educational journey, and she surely wouldn't be the student she is today without her positivity and encouragement.
Mrs. Lori Powers taught me middle school English at Oldman's Township School. Her positivity radiated every day, and outlook on life and towards her students stretched beyond what was expected. She loved and encouraged every student and treated them with respect. Mrs. Powers taught passionately, loved unconditionally, and inspired kindness and grace towards others, even when it wasn't reciprocated. She remains a model for true joy, no matter the circumstance, and her sincere, encouraging spirit shines everywhere she goes. Mrs. Powers continues to encourage me to be resilient, always having the right words to say or actions to take. When my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, Mrs. Powers wrapped my family and I in love, going beyond hugs and momentary prayers. Her passion for Jesus, rock-solid faith, and selfless love for others inspires me daily, and I would not have the same faith, courage, joy, or resilience if it were not for Mrs. Powers. She inspired me to pursue a career directly helping and caring for others, and I dream to leave the legacy in others she has left in me.
I played the trumpet under Mr. Ludlam since elementary school. From band class, music trips, and concerts to his corny jokes, I always appreciate the positive vibes that are a principle of his character. Band has provided a certain experience in my life that no other aspect of school was able to attain, and the countless upbeat moments in and around the band room that I had with my friends are what make band forever a part of my life. My time in band, led by Mr. Ludlam, will leave unique memories as I finalize high school.
Miss Knight is a teacher I've always known I could count on. Starting all the way back, freshman year, when she made me feel comfortable during my mock trial interview. It means so much how much time she put into preparing the lawyers and witnesses to make sure we were ready for anything at the competition. Evelyn and I have definitely prepared her for when her boys get a little bit older, since we were constantly bickering about the case. Over time, she has helped me whenever I needed. No questions asked. The past couple of years of high school would have not been the same without her. And 9th period world history, too. I appreciate everything she has done for me to prepare me for when I eventually become a lawyer. Who knows? Maybe I'll be our next mock trial team's attorney.
For the past 3 years, Paige has had the honor of being a part of Mrs. Bitgood's Spanish class. Her teacher's radiating positivity and enthusiasm always makes her day. Mrs. Bitgood has made Paige's high school career much more than enjoyable when she came into her life as a sophomore. Paige aspires to be as positive, kind, and sweet as Mrs. Bitgood.
I've had the honor of having Mrs. Bitgood for 2 years. When I finally got to her class, it was always a breath of fresh air for me. I admire Mrs. Bitgood because of her overall outlook on life and how real she is with her students. Mrs. Bitgood always treats everyone with respect and equally, no matter the circumstances. Mrs. Bitgood has been such a positive role model for me, helping me through some of the toughest times of my life. She always believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. Her positive quotes and words of encouragement will be something I carry with me throughout the rest of my life. I thank Mrs. Bitgood for all she has done and for always being someone to count on in the most difficult times. I hope I can be half the woman she is one day.
My name is Ella Champany and I'm the treasurer of the National Honor Society. As mentioned earlier, the 4 letters found at the base of the cornerstone represent the fundamental principles of the National Honor Society. The first principle is character. Good character is the combination of qualities favorably distinguishing a particular individual. In other words, how one acts and feels on issues such as morality and honesty help to make up one's character. We must remember that character is consistent behavior demonstrating the highest standard of honesty, reliability, and fairness.
Thank you, Ella. Hello, my name is Hannah Carter, and I am the Secretary for National Honor Society. Our next principle is scholarship. Scholarship is the love of learning and search for truth. Wisdom and understanding are foundations of scholarship, but the fuel of scholarship is drive, curiosity, and enthusiasm. These National Honor Society members and inductees have all demonstrated that scholarship is essential to being a contributing member of society. They look to expand horizons and influence lives through the power of learning, thus showing the importance of scholarship.
Thank you, Hannah. My name is Annika Hantho, and I'm the volunteer coordinator for National Honor Society. The principle of service can be expressed in many ways. In one's daily routine, many opportunities to help others may arise. The willingness to work without monetary compensation and without recognition for your effort is a quality of service. The National Honor Society seeks those committed to volunteering their time and abilities to help create a better tomorrow.
Thank you, Annika. Our final principle is leadership. Leadership is another pillar of the National Honor Society. Leaders should exert a wholesome influence on the school. In taking the initiative in class and school activities, the real leader strives to train and aid others to attain the same objective. To be a leader, a student must be confident in everything he or she does. The leader is not afraid to take charge, nor intimidated by the thought of standing up for what they believe in. Truly being a leader means one must possess the strength to make tough decisions while keeping the interests of everyone in mind. And the best leaders are those that lead by example.
The next portion of our program is dedicated to the induction of new members, and we thank you again for viewing our virtual ceremony.
Sydney Adams, Giovanna Belisario, Sophia Bersenio, Anthony Brock, Rayanne Caltabiano, Kylie Donaldson, Jacob Donini, Shannon Emmett, Madeline Fairfield, Gage Foote, Hunter Gandy, Riley Gantz, Elodie Goffney, Justin Haynes, Benjamin Horner, Lainey Jones, Erin Kernan, Isabella Kerpus, Ava Lamerson, Jacob Lapp, Lillian Larrabee, Jason Lacates,
Molly Lodge, Shane Love, Olivia Mistakeli, Mia Ottaviano, Abby Padlow, Stephen Padlow, Megan Pedrick, Taylor Pearson, Mary Petrowski, Devin Porch, Carly Pratt, William Reed, Colin Ricciuti, Seamus Riley, Carly Sickler,
Sydney Smith,
Evelyn Sperry, Elizabeth Suwala, Colin Thomas, Tara Tucci, Gracie Williams, Emma Zimmerman.
Thank you and welcome new members. At this time, we would like to ask the junior inductees to recite the National Honor Society pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge to. I pledge to maintain
my high scholastic standing.
To hold as fundamental
and worthy.
And untarnished character.
To endeavor intelligently
and courageously.
Be a leader.
To be a leader and to give myself
freely in the service to others.
In so doing,
I shall prove myself
worthy
of
Of a place
in the National Honor Society.
Family, friends, and faculty, it is my honor to now present the new members of the Woodstown High School chapter of the National Honor Society. Thank you to everyone for viewing this ceremony. And on behalf of the members, we would like to thank each and every one of you for everything you do for us. Also, we would like to thank our faculty advisors, Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Kaiser, for the role they played in making this ceremony a success.